Hi everybody, as you can see I am back in the desert. Made it out of Wyoming, almost 100-degree temperature difference. So now I'm like trying to acclimate and I'm like sweating buckets and everybody's laughing at me because it's just too hot here. It's only in like 73 or something, but the desert sun is intense, and when you're used to sub-zero for the last week plus or whatever, however long I was in Wyoming, I don't even remember exactly how long I was there. So it's a quick video to say I'm here. I got another New Year's video coming tomorrow with some things in that, but in the meantime, let's do a couple quick things I want to talk about in this video. The first was, those of you who follow my Facebook page will know that I was, that's Wandering Minimalist on Facebook if you want to check that out. But those of you who follow that will know I was delayed a day getting out of Wyoming because of a minor vehicle repair. The oil light started flickering on the van, and then I started staying on longer. I did some troubleshooting. I was pretty sure it was just the pressure sensor, in which case, you know, it wouldn't hurt anything to drive it back to Arizona, but I couldn't be sure. It's a cheap part, and I probably, under ideal circumstances, could have done it myself, but it's kind of hard to get to, and the weather was so bad that even with a garage I had to work in is not insulated, so even with a shop heater, it just was too cold for me to want to tackle it, so I had to wait for the shop to be able to get it done. But that got me thinking, as after I got the back, that's something that's worth mentioning that I don't hear talked about near enough, in my opinion, on these videos and blogs. You hear people mention it once in a while, but not near enough. And that is the importance of having an emergency fund or some savings for things that come up. Because once you live in your vehicle, you just got to be able to get it fixed and take care of that when it happens. And I don't say this in any way to be critical or judgmental if you're struggling to get there, because I've spent much of my life not having enough of a savings account, so that when the car broke down, it was a crisis for me. But that's something I've been working on since being on the road. I still do not have it where I would like it to be. Like if this van blew up tomorrow, I'd have a hard time replacing it unless I could find a really good deal on something. But this is just really important, and the reason I was thinking about it was because I've had 4 repairs I had to do on this van, other than routine oil changes and things. And I've done 14,000 miles since I had it, and now it has 241,000 miles on it. So it's an older van, and it does break once in a while. So I'm really fortunate to only have had 4 repairs in those 14,000 miles. The first one was actually in Ehrenberg. Not long after I got it, a heater hose blew. That was pretty easy. And I did a water pump up in Wyoming last summer. That was a real bugger, but I did it myself to save the money. Well, I say I did it myself. I also had some help from my daughter-in-law's father, who happened to be there, and he helped me out with it. And then my son helped out with the final bit. He finally got home from work just so we were finishing it up. But then I had this fall, I had an alternator went out when I was in Cottonwood, Arizona, and I wasn't sure it was the alternator. I was thinking it was, but I wasn't positive. I just couldn't troubleshoot it down to be positive. And we were staying at a state park campground, so I really couldn't do the repair there, and I didn't have enough tools to do it, and you had to do it partly from underneath on this van. And so I ended up taking it to the shop. That was over $500 for that single repair, because that's more than half of what I spent on this van. Maintenance so far is one alternator, but it's a 160 amp output alternator because it's got a lot of electronics in this van, most of which I don't even use anymore. And then this one, this pressure sensor, that fortunately was only like $125 to get that repaired in the shop. But these things come up, and when you live in your van, so sometimes you can plan it and you know something's going, you can plan for it. Other times it gives you no warning and it just fails, and you got to get it fixed right away. And so it just makes such a world of difference if you're able to have some savings you can draw off. It's still depressing having to pull out your savings to pay for a big repair bill, but at least you can do it. And there are some related things that come up with that. If you break down on the road and you can't limp into town, you may have to get towed. And then you have the tow bill, depending on where you break down and how long it's broken down and the weather and things like that. You may have to rent a hotel room for 1 or more nights while you're waiting for a repair, possibly several nights. So it's just really essential that you have some savings to cover those kind of things. And ideally, you'd probably want at least, I would say, what I'm aiming for is $3,000 to $5,000. I'm not there yet, but that's kind of what I'm aiming for. My thinking with that is that I could cover replacing the vehicle if I needed to, or doing a major component replacement if I wanted to. I would not do that in this van because of the mileage, but you could replace the vehicle or do a major component replacement as needed, and you'd have a little bit of a buffer to cover some time in a hotel or something while you're waiting to get that done. So that's what I'm aiming towards, and it's just something I was thinking about because the last 2 times I did have a breakdown. It was depressing having to pull it out of savings, but I had it, and I could take care of it, and I was able to get back on the road within a day both times. So that's really, or the next day, as the case was. In both cases, I was able to make an appointment for the next day and get it fixed and get back on the road. So there wasn't any real anything problem other than a minor inconvenience and the pain of having to spend the money. So, like I say, I'm not being critical. If you're not there yet, I understand that. I'm still trying to work to get mine there, but it's not something you hear a lot about on videos or blogs about van life, and so I just wanted to throw it out there. It's something to be aware of. You know, you do a side job if you got to make a little extra money. If you're getting ready to get on the road, you know, sell your stuff when you're leaving and put that money into your savings. Whatever. Try as hard as you can to get a little bit of savings so you can deal with that, because cars, vans, whatever, they're vehicles and they're gonna break, and you know, it seems like they usually break at the most inopportune time as well. So that's just a little encouragement there. It's something I've learned, that it just makes it a whole lot easier if you've got some cash that you can take care of that when it does happen. Second thing, as I said, you can see I'm in the desert here. Back in the desert, a whole lot warmer than Wyoming was. I'm not in Ehrenberg. And the reason for that is that Ehrenberg has always been 14-day camping. In the past, some people have stayed longer than that, but it is 14-day camping, and you need to go 25 miles away before you, and be gone for 28 days. I say that, it's gone for 20 days, or it's 14 out of 28. I don't remember off the top of my head, but you do have to leave, and you're not able to come back. So it's the rules are on the BLM websites. I'll throw a link in the description where you can find more information about that. But it is 14-day camping, and we're approaching RTR. So I don't want to be camped there before RTR so that I'm not able to go to RTR. So if you're coming down, you know, I would encourage you to camp not in Quartzsite or Ehrenberg, but make sure you're 25 air miles away from Quartzsite at this point if you're coming down before the RTR, so you don't run into any problems with that. You're not able to go. So that's it for this video. Like I said, I got one coming tomorrow, a New Year's video, and I have some other ones lined up. And hopefully I can get these cranked out a little faster now that it's been a real crazy. It was a wonderful trip up to Wyoming. The van ran great both ways, no problems at all. I averaged 26.5 miles a gallon, which was fantastic. I took my solar panel off the roof before I went because it does knock the mileage down a few miles a gallon on the highway, so I pulled that off. Left it with a friend so I didn't have to lug it around, and did the run. So that ran great. The van was fantastic. No problems on the road at all. I did it both up and coming back in about 30 hours each direction. And that included a 4-hour stop for sleep both times, somewhere around towards the middle of it. So that worked great. I had snow to deal with both times, and I was not able to go through. The shorter route is up through Utah and across 80 in Wyoming, and I was not able to do that either time because of snowstorms. Going up, there was a big storm, and so I went up through Albuquerque and then up through Denver. And as I was leaving, there was a storm in Montana, and the day that I left, they announced they changed the forecast, and it was going to hit Wyoming as well. The mountains were getting up to 3 feet of snow, and they were looking at 3 to 5 inches where in the central part and eastern part of Wyoming, as well as minus 35 temperatures and wind. So, and then it's like from Cheyenne all the way over to across I-80 was high wind warnings, and that's just a really dangerous road in the winter when the wind blows, because even if it's not actively snowing, if there's snow on the ground, the wind blows incredibly strong and blows it across the road and causes whiteout conditions and ices up the roadway. So that gets really dangerous. They usually have several multi-vehicle crashes there. I mean, like sometimes 50 vehicles. And those of you that see, you wonder how bad the wind is. Some of you may have seen that Facebook thing a year or two ago, where the tractor trailer was blown over on top of a police cruiser. They was stopped making a traffic stop on the interstate. That is that stretch of road. So it really blows. So so that was my trip. I ended up going through Denver and Albuquerque both times because the weather was better on that side. I didn't have any snow at all on my trip, except for some blowing down around Cheyenne. It was near whiteout conditions for a bit because the wind was bad and it was blowing snow around. It wasn't actually snowing. And then on you know, coming up, I had a little bit, it wasn't actually snowing, but there was a little bit of flurries a few times, and there was a little bit on the ground as I got to Denver and north, but the roads were pretty much fine, except for, you know, a little bit on 59. You saw it, maybe see that video, and a photo there, but basically it was pretty good both ways, so I'm real grateful for that. Didn't have any van problems, didn't have any real weather problems, and I got to have Christmas with several of my kids and grandchildren, so that was fantastic. I'm going to be going back in about a month. I have another granddaughter arriving, so I'll be going back to meet her. But down in the desert for now, and you know, hanging out, waiting until RTR. Then I'll be going over there, and you know, in January for that. So, thanks for watching, everybody. This is New Year's Eve, so Happy New Year's early to you, and see you in the next video. And Deborah is glad I'm back because she gets actual home-cooked meals again.
Yes, I do.
Even though this comes without any warranty on it because I've never made this before. It was just leftovers and stuff I had in the cabinet.
It doesn't matter. Your stuff is always good, Robert. Thank you.